Being busy isn't just making you tired. It is slowly erasing who you are. Because busyness isn't neutral. It's not just having a lot to do. Busyness displaces you. When you're always responding from a place of urgency, that means by default, you're a lot less likely to be creating from a place of authenticity and originality. I'm doing everything right, but still something feels wrong. I want you to know that this is not a personal failure. And that pause is a small example of what a sustained life could look like. Being busy isn't just making you tired. It is slowly erasing who you are. And if that sentence struck a chord in your spirit, then this video is for you. I want to be very clear about what we're doing here. I'm not here to tell you to rest more. I'm not here to give you another morning routine. And I'm definitely not here to tell you to slow down without actually telling you what that means. What I want to show you is what busyness is doing to your sense of self and how to begin reclaiming pieces of yourself without blowing up your life. And if you stay with me through the entirety of this video, you're going to leave with clarity. Not pressure, not guilt, and not one more thing to fix. And if what I'm saying already feels familiar, if you know that something in your life has been off, but you just haven't had the language for it, I invite you to subscribe and lock into this channel. Because this space is for Black women who are done surviving on fumes and are ready to move with intention and precision. Now let's get into it. Most of us think that we're burnt out because life is demanding, but that is not the full truth. Because busyness isn't neutral. It's not just having a lot to do. Busyness displaces you. When your life is always full, there's very little room left for you to think and feel. When your days are packed to the edge, there's little room for you to check in with yourself and your desires. And when urgency becomes your norm, your discernment begins to fade into the background. And over time, something more subtle is happening in the background. Of course, you're still capable, you're still responsible, and you're still holding everything together. But you're less yourself. Not dramatically and not all at once, but very quietly and slowly over time. And here's the part that rarely gets talked about with clarity and intention. Busyness doesn't just exhaust your body. It fragments your identity. When you're always responding from a place of urgency, that means by default, you're a lot less likely to be creating from a place of authenticity and originality. And when you're regularly reacting from a place of pressure or time constraint, then that means you are by default a lot less likely to choose from a place of sovereignty and power. And I want to really paint this picture for you so that you can envision and feel in your body what this looks like in a day-to-day situation. Because when you're always on, then that leaves so much less room for vision and future. So over time, your inner world is less vibrant, less full, and less expansive than before. And your preferences, they begin to blur and get a lot more lax. Your intuition starts to go into the background, and your imagination, while you still have access to it, it becomes less active. And of course, you don't stop functioning in the sense of the real world and responsibilities. It's just that you stop accessing a key fundamental part of yourself. And then we turn around and call it adulthood. We call it maturity, we call it being responsible, and we may even call it being dependable. But all of these things without self-access is just endurance. So if you've ever found yourself saying anything like, I don't even know what I want with my own life anymore, or I feel disconnected from myself and my desires, or even I'm doing everything right, but still something feels wrong. I want you to know that this is not a personal failure. It's just what happens when busyness becomes a lifestyle. And here's the greater truth that I need you to hear with clarity. You don't need more discipline, and you don't need more motivation. And you most definitely do not need to become someone new. You just need space to hear yourself again. And this is where we shift out of theory and I show you what living at a sustained pace could actually feel like. When you're not living a busy life, it doesn't necessarily look dramatic. It can look like finishing an important task and not immediately reaching for the next thing to fix or work on. It can also look like having free space in your day and not feeling anxious or nervous to fill that space. Another way it can manifest is making decisions from a place of stillness, from a place of authority, and from a place of power without feeling like your decision is going to cost someone you love or someone who depends on you their stability. And last but not least, it can manifest as having an abundance of time to pour back into yourself and yourself alone without having a sense of guilt attached to it. And at first, living at that pace can feel uncomfortable. In the beginning, being surrounded by quiet can feel wrong, and stillness without that noise can feel unsafe to your nervous system. And if you encounter those feelings, that doesn't mean that something is wrong or that something is wrong with you. It just means that your nervous system has been trained for urgency. But the good news is, if it's been trained for urgency, it can be reconditioned and trained for a more sustainable pace that not only honors you, but gives back to you in return. So instead of changing your whole schedule and shifting your life into chaos, here's what you can do to begin. Once a day for every day this week, when you finish a big task, I want you to pause, take a moment to rest and allow yourself stillness before immediately moving into the next task. And during this break, I really just want you to sit and be present and take in the atmosphere around you. That means no phones, no planning, and no mental checklists. Just notice your breath, your body, and what thoughts come to you in the moment. And if you start to feel antsy or uncomfortable, just recognize that too, because it's simply your nervous system looking for the pattern that it's been used to for such a long period of time. And I don't want you to feel like you have to fight this urge or to push it down. Simply be with yourself, observe yourself, acknowledge yourself, and be at peace. And that pause is a small example of what a sustained life could look like. And every time you allow yourself to access that feeling, you get a little more access to yourself again. And I know this may seem or feel oversimplified, and I promise I get it. But this act that I'm giving you isn't designed as a quick fix. It's designed to interrupt a long-standing pattern, because many of us didn't find ourselves in this position overnight. It was the culmination of one act, one feeling over time that became a habit. And this is how you subtly start to shift those habits in a new direction. It doesn't look flashy, it's not over the top, and it's not even something that you may be able to brag to your friends about. But it is something that if you consistently add into your daily life, it will bring change, it will bring peace, and it will bring regulation to your nervous system. And that is the foundation of everything that you build and sustain from this moment forward. So just look at it as the first step into reconnecting with the fullness of who you are. And it's not another thing to add to the to-do list of your already busy life. It's actually one way to take something off the table and to give back to yourself. And once you start to build that practice, that is where things get important. Because once you actually feel the difference for yourself, once you recognize what alignment actually feels like, you start seeing how much of your life has been shaped by urgency instead of intention. And that is what we need to look at next. Busyness didn't just happen to you. It was rewarded, normalized, and even praised. But you don't need to dismantle your whole life just to step out of this pattern. You simply start by creating micro spaces where you're not engaging with the frequency of urgency. And in those moments, your nervous system is learning something new. It's learning that wholeness is safe and that presence is allowed. You're retraining your subconscious that you don't have to disappear in order to be responsible. And that is how your identity begins to return, not through more effort, but through proper order. So again, I just want to remind you that this video and the information that I've shared within it, it is not designed to solve everything. It's meant to restore one thing, and that one thing is your awareness. And in the next video, we're going to talk about what constant urgency does to clarity and decision making, and why so many Black women feel under pressure even when there is nothing wrong. If this video gave you language for something that you've been feeling or carrying within your body but haven't been able to express, then I would like to invite you to subscribe to the channel. This space was created just for you, and we're not rushing here. We're simply restoring order, because this work isn't about doing more. It's about returning to yourself. Black women first, because you deserve a holistic life that gives back just as much as it takes.